Hey warrior, take a moment and really think about this. Every person you look up to, every individual who has accomplished something truly significant, every human being who has discovered genuine peace and inner strength, they all share something in common. At some point, they stood before the mirror and admitted, "Who I am right now just isn't cutting it anymore." They made the most difficult choice a person can face, releasing the person they were so they could grow into the person they were always meant to become. But here's what most people completely miss. While everyone around you keeps searching for themselves in the validation of others, in relationships that leave them empty, in careers that slowly suffocate them, in social media likes that feel hollow the moment they appear, the ones who truly transformed did something radically different. They went within. They stepped back from all the noise, the expectations, the comfortable stories they had been telling themselves. And completely on their own, they reconstructed their entire identity from nothing. Consider Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful ruler of the ancient world. In his private writings he noted, "Your mind is within your control, not the events around you." Understand this, and you will discover true strength. Really absorb that. An emperor surrounded by armies and advisors recognized that genuine transformation occurs in isolation. In those quiet moments when you're alone with the honest truth about where you are and where you want to be. This isn't about isolating yourself from humanity or becoming antisocial. It's about realizing that before you can authentically connect with anyone else, before you can build real relationships, before you can offer something of real value to the world, you must first understand who you are when no audience exists. You have to reconstruct yourself from the core outward, guided by your own values, your own vision, your own understanding of what purposeful living actually means. The version of you that came before, constantly seeking validation from outsiders, making choices driven by fear, accepting mediocrity because it feels safe, complaining endlessly about circumstances instead of changing them, that version has done its job. It brought you to this moment, but it lacks what it takes to move you forward. The change you're after, the existence you're trying to create, the individual you're trying to become, all of this demands that you tear down the old habits, the old thought patterns, the old version of you that's holding you back. And here's what almost no one warns you about: this process will feel isolating at first. When you quit chasing approval, when you stop engaging in conversations that drain your energy, when you start declining things that conflict with your values, when you begin following your internal compass rather than outside pressures, people simply won't get it. Some will actively try pulling you back into familiar patterns. Others will make you feel wrong for evolving. This is precisely why going through it alone initially matters so much. Being alone isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's where you develop trust in your own instincts, where you learn to distinguish your voice from everyone else's noise. Where you build confidence rooted internally rather than in outside approval. It's where you uncover what you genuinely desire, not what you believe you should desire based on what others anticipate from you. The Stoics grasped this completely. They understood that genuine strength emerges from self-mastery, and self-mastery can only be cultivated when you're brave enough to confront yourself honestly, without the distractions and influences clouding your vision. This transformation we're discussing isn't some quick fix or superficial change. It's a total rebuilding of your fundamental self. If you're prepared to start this path, if you're exhausted from remaining exactly who you were yesterday, if you want to construct a version of yourself you can honestly respect and feel proud of, then hit like on this video, leave a comment below, pass it along to someone who needs to hear this, subscribe to the channel, and stay through every part of what we're going to explore together. What you're about to discover will completely transform everything. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I choose to rebuild myself from within. Number 1. Accept that who you are now has an expiration date. Here's a truth that will hit you deeply. The person you currently are, with all your current habits, beliefs, limitations, and comfort zones, that person will not last forever. And the faster you embrace this reality, the faster you can begin the most essential work of your existence. Seneca, among the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote, "Every fresh start emerges from some other start's conclusion." Think about that carefully. Right now, you're living through the conclusion of one life chapter. The habits that got you here, the mindset that brought you to this point, the version of yourself you've grown comfortable with, all of this must end for something improved to begin. Yet here's where most individuals become trapped. They recognize change is necessary but fear releasing who they currently are. They cling to their old self as if it's something precious, even when that very self is preventing them from the life they desire. They generate justifications. This is simply who I am. I can't transform at my age. People anticipate me staying this way. All of these are falsehoods you tell yourself to escape the discomfort of genuine change. The reality is you aren't fixed permanently. You aren't chiseled in stone. You're constantly developing, and you possess the ability to determine what your next version looks like. But first, you must be willing to let your current version fade. This means accepting that the individual who brought you to today might not be equipped to take you where you need to go tomorrow. The version of you that accepts less, that dodges hard conversations, that puts off meaningful tasks, that craves outside approval, that makes choices based on fear rather than vision, that version must go. Once you genuinely accept this, something remarkable occurs. You quit defending your restrictions. You quit rationalizing behaviors that don't benefit you. You quit holding on to an identity that maintains your smallness. Instead, you become interested in who you might become. You start posing improved questions. What would my highest self do in this circumstance? What habits would someone with my ambitions have? What beliefs would someone living my ideal life hold? This acceptance isn't about self-criticism or treating yourself harshly. It's about honesty. It's about acknowledging that development demands release. Just as a snake must shed its skin to expand, you must release your old self to evolve into who you're designed to be. The snake doesn't desperately hold onto its old skin trying to stretch it. It naturally releases what no longer benefits it. The most accomplished individuals grasp this principle completely. They don't become attached to previous versions of themselves. They continuously evolve, constantly enhance, always willing to abandon what worked previously if it won't work moving forward. They recognize that who they were last year, last month, even last week might not be prepared for the challenges and opportunities ahead. This release process starts with brutal honesty about your current reality. Examine your habits. Examine your connections. Examine how you spend your time, energy, finances. Examine the discussions you participate in, the content you consume, the thoughts that occupy your mind most frequently. Ask yourself, does this reflect someone living their ideal life? Are these the habits of someone reaching their objectives? Is this the mindset of someone constructing the future they desire? If the response is negative, which for most it will be, then you've just recognized what needs to expire. You've just discovered which aspects of your current self must be consciously and deliberately ended so something better can begin. The wonderful thing about embracing your current self's expiration date is it liberates you from the confinement of, "This is simply who I am." It reveals endless possibilities for who you might become. It changes you from someone controlled by circumstances into someone designing their future. But remember, this acceptance demands action. Intellectual understanding isn't sufficient. You must genuinely be willing to do the work of dismantling old patterns and constructing new ones. You must be willing to feel uncomfortable as you release familiar ways and welcome new thinking and acting patterns. Your former self fulfilled its purpose. It brought you to this point. But its work is complete. Now express gratitude for its service and release it, so the individual you're meant to become can finally arise. Number 2, quit requesting permission to transform your life. There's something most individuals do that absolutely destroys their transformation potential without them realizing it. They request permission. They ask everyone nearby whether changing is acceptable. Whether wanting more is acceptable. Whether being different from before is acceptable. And when those individuals, often trapped in their own patterns, say no, they abandon their aspirations and retreat to mediocrity. Epictetus, who rose from slavery to become one of history's most respected philosophers, taught, "Nobody can harm you without your consent." But what he understood that most overlook includes granting permission to limit yourself. Every time you ask someone else whether you should chase your goals, every time you seek approval for your dreams, every time you let others' comfort zones determine your potential, you're allowing them to keep you small. Consider this carefully. The people surrounding you have grown accustomed to a specific version of you. They've built their expectations, relationships, and self-identity partly around who you currently are. When you begin discussing change, Growth, becoming someone different, it threatens their comfort zone. Not because they don't care about you, but because your transformation reminds them of their own stagnation. So what happens? They discourage you. They mention past failures. They advise being realistic. They say things like, "That's not who you are," or "People like us don't do things like that," or "You should appreciate what you already have." And if you're seeking their permission to change, you'll accept their words as absolute truth and quit before ever beginning. But here's what you need to understand: you don't require anyone's permission to transform your existence. You don't need family approval to chase your dreams. You don't need friends' understanding to alter your habits. You don't need coworkers' support to elevate your standards. You don't need society's validation to live by your own principles. The instant you stop seeking permission, you reclaim your power. That's the moment you realize your life belongs to you to design, your future belongs to you to create, and your potential belongs to you to unlock. Nobody else gets a vote in what you're capable of becoming. This doesn't mean becoming arrogant or dismissing good advice. It means learning to distinguish between wisdom supporting your growth and opinions keeping you trapped. It means ceasing to make others' limitations your own. It means ceasing to let others' fears become yours. When permission-seeking stops, you start making choices based on your own vision rather than external expectations. You start taking action based on your own goals rather than others' comfort zones. You start constructing a life reflecting your values rather than everyone else's opinions about what your life should look like. History's most successful individuals understood this principle. They didn't request permission to innovate, create, push boundaries, become more than they were. They simply determined what they wanted to become and did the work to make it happen regardless of what others said or thought. This proves especially crucial when rebuilding yourself alone. Solitude provides space to hear your own voice above everyone else's opinions. It provides clarity to see what you actually want versus what you think you should want due to external pressure. It provides courage to pursue your own path rather than following someone else's roadmap. But ending permission-seeking behavior demands conscious effort. You must catch yourself when about to ask someone whether your dream is realistic. You must notice when seeking approval for decisions that are yours alone. You must recognize when letting others' reactions determine your actions. Instead of seeking permission, start seeking information. Instead of asking whether you should pursue a goal, research how to accomplish it. Instead of wondering whether you're allowed to change, focus on developing necessary skills and mindset. Instead of looking for approval, look for mentors who've already achieved what you want. Remember, those who truly love you will eventually support your transformation when they observe positive results. Those who don't support your growth were never genuinely on your team anyway. Your job isn't convincing them change is appropriate. Your job is changing and letting results speak for themselves. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I am the author of my own transformation. Number 3, welcome the discomfort of becoming unknown. Here's something that terrifies most people. When you genuinely commit to rebuilding yourself, you become a stranger to everyone around you, including yourself. The person you're becoming has no track record yet. No proven results. No comfort of familiar patterns and predictable outcomes. This unknown version of yourself exists only as potential. And that's exactly why most people never meet them. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations about confining yourself to the present. But he understood something profound about this guidance. The present moment is where transformation happens. And transformation always involves stepping into unknown territory. Every moment you choose to act differently than before, you're creating a new version of yourself that's never existed. Most people are addicted to their familiar version. Even when that version makes them miserable, they know exactly how that version will react in any situation. They know what to expect from their days, relationships, outcomes. Even when those outcomes disappoint, there's strange comfort in knowing what's coming. But when rebuilding begins, everything becomes uncertain. You don't know how the new version will handle stress. You don't know what the new version will desire in relationships. You don't know how the new version will spend free time, make decisions, or respond to challenges. This uncertainty feels terrifying because you're literally creating someone who doesn't yet exist. People around you will notice too, and it will unsettle them. They'll say things like, "You've changed," or "I don't recognize you anymore," or "What happened to the old you?" These comments aren't necessarily criticism. They're honest observations. You have changed. They don't recognize you anymore. The old you is disappearing. And that's precisely the goal. But here's what you need to grasp: this discomfort is the admission price to a better existence. You cannot remain identical and expect different results. You cannot cling to familiar patterns and expect growth. You cannot stay comfortable and expect transformation. The discomfort of becoming unknown is temporary. But regret from staying the same is permanent. When you welcome this discomfort instead of fleeing it, something magical occurs. You discover you're capable of more than you ever imagined. You realize limitations you thought permanent were actually just habits. You find strength you didn't know existed, wisdom you didn't know you possessed, potential you didn't know was there. This process demands incredible courage because you're essentially betting on a version of yourself you've never encountered. You're investing time, energy, effort into becoming someone existing only in your vision of possibility. You're building a life based on faith in your own potential rather than evidence from your past performance. The key is becoming comfortable with not knowing. Comfortable feeling awkward while practicing new behaviors. Comfortable with uncertainty accompanying changes to standards, habits, relationships, entire life approach. Comfortable with the fact that the person you're becoming might want different things, value different experiences, make different choices than today's you. This unknown version resembles a muscle strengthening through use. Every time you choose new behavior over old, every time you select uncomfortable over familiar, every time you act as the person you want to become rather than the person you've always been, you're building evidence this new version is real, capable, and worth becoming. The discomfort of becoming unknown actually signals you're on the right path. It means you're growing beyond old limitations. It means you're expanding beyond old comfort zones. It means you're creating space for a version of yourself more aligned with your potential. Don't let fear of the unknown keep you trapped in a life that no longer fits who you're meant to be. The person you're becoming is worth not knowing who they are yet. Trust the process. Welcome the uncertainty. Have faith that the unknown version of yourself surpasses the familiar version you're leaving behind. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I trust the unknown version of myself. Number 4, construct your foundation in solitude. There's a reason every great transformation in history began with someone stepping away from crowds. Not because they disliked people or wanted to be antisocial. Because they understood something most never learn: you cannot rebuild yourself while still performing for an audience. You cannot discover who you truly are while busy being who everyone expects you to be. Lao Tzu taught, deep within yourself, you hold the answers. You know who you are and what you desire. But here's the problem. Most people never become quiet enough, still enough, or alone enough to hear that inner voice. They're constantly surrounded by noise, opinions, expectations, distractions drowning out their own wisdom. Consider your typical day. How much time do you genuinely spend alone with your thoughts? Not scrolling your phone, not watching television, not listening to music or podcasts, not talking to others, just you in silence with your own mind. For most, the answer approaches zero. And that's exactly why they feel lost, confused, disconnected from their own purpose. Solitude isn't loneliness. Loneliness feels empty when alone. Solitude feels complete when alone. It's the difference between running from yourself and running toward yourself. When you learn comfort in your own company, when you learn to enjoy your own thoughts, when you learn to trust your own judgment, that's when real transformation becomes possible. In solitude, you stop performing. You stop trying to appear impressive, likable, acceptable to others. You can finally be honest about what you actually want versus what you think you should want. You can acknowledge real feelings instead of those you think appropriate. You can admit true desires instead of those making others comfortable. This is where you construct your foundation. In quiet moments when nobody watches, you decide what kind of person you want to become. You establish values based on your own understanding, not what others told you should matter. You create your own success vision instead of accepting someone else's definition. You develop your own standards instead of lowering them to match surrounding people. But here's what happens when you first embrace solitude. You'll discover thoughts and feelings you didn't know existed. You'll uncover dreams buried years ago. You'll remember parts of yourself lost while trying to fit in, please others, meet expectations. Some discoveries will feel uncomfortable because they'll reveal how far you've drifted from who you really are. This is exactly why most avoid solitude. They're afraid of what they might find alone with themselves. Scared they might discover they don't like the life built, relationship settled for, person they've become. So they stay busy, stay distracted, stay surrounded by noise, never facing these truths. But those transforming their lives do the opposite. They seek solitude. They create space for silence. They spend time knowing themselves without others' influence. They use this alone time to plan, dream, set goals, develop new habits, practice new skills, think deeply about desired life direction. In solitude, you also learn distinguishing your voice from everyone else's voice in your head. You realize how much of what you thought was your thinking was actually others' opinions you internalized. You start separating authentic desires from desires programmed by family, society, media, peer pressure. This foundation built in solitude becomes unshakable because it's based on your truth rather than external validation. When you know who you are with nobody watching, when you know what you want with nobody influencing, when you know what you value with nobody pressuring, that knowledge becomes your compass for every decision. The strongest people are those comfortable alone because they've learned to be their own best company. They don't need constant entertainment, validation, social interaction to feel good about themselves. They've built an internal world that's rich, interesting, fulfilling. This internal strength then radiates outward, attracting right people, opportunities, experiences. Start creating daily solitude. Even 15 minutes morning before checking your phone. 30 minutes evening after others sleep. Use this time to think, plan, dream, know yourself. This isn't wasted time. It's the most important investment in your future. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I am comfortable in my own company. Number 5, quit explaining yourself to people who don't grasp your vision. Here's a trap destroying more dreams than failure ever could: trying to explain your vision to people lacking one. You get excited about transformation. Start sharing goals and plans. Then spend hours, days, sometimes weeks trying convincing others your dreams are valid, realistic, worth pursuing. By the time explaining finishes, you've lost all momentum and half your self-belief. Epictetus understood this deeply when saying, "Don't explain your philosophy. Demonstrate it." He knew people don't need reasons for changing, they just need to see results. When trying to explain vision to those who can't see it, you're essentially asking them to believe in something they've never experienced. Like describing blue to someone blind since birth. The problem isn't these people being bad or unsupportive. They're operating from their awareness level, experiences, limitations. They can only see possibilities within their understanding of what's possible. When your vision extends beyond their experience, they literally cannot comprehend it no matter how clearly explained. Think about people in your life now. How many actively work on transforming themselves? How many have clear future visions? How many willingly sacrifice comfort for growth? If the answer is few or none, then these aren't people to seek understanding from about your transformation journey. When trying to explain vision to those who don't understand, several things happen, none good. First, you start doubting yourself. Their confusion becomes yours. Their lack of belief becomes yours. Their questions about realism make you question realism. Second, you waste precious energy defending why you want to build a new life instead of building it. Third and most dangerous, you start modifying vision to make it more acceptable to them. You tone down goals for realism. You lower standards for achievability. You shrink dreams for understandability. Before realizing, you're not building desired life, you're building a compromised version making others comfortable. History's most successful individuals understood this. They didn't waste time convincing everyone their vision was valid. They simply pursued vision and let results speak. They understood some will never understand dreams until seeing you live them. This doesn't mean being secretive about goals or antisocial about your journey. It means becoming selective about who you share vision with. You look for others also growing, also transforming, also pursuing something beyond current reality. You seek mentors, coaches, communities understanding what rebuilding from inside out means. When someone asks about changes, you don't need justification. Simply say, "I'm working on becoming my best self," and leave it there. You don't owe anyone detailed explanations of goals, methods, timeline. Your transformation isn't a group project requiring everyone's approval or understanding. Instead of explaining philosophy, demonstrate it. Instead of talking about vision, work toward it. Instead of convincing others change is possible, become living proof it is. When people see you becoming more confident, focused, successful, peaceful, they won't need explanations. Evidence speaks for itself. Remember, truly important people in your life will support growth even without fully understanding methods. They'll trust your judgment because they trust you. Those discouraging growth, demanding explanations for improvements, making you feel guilty for wanting more, these people reveal they're not aligned with your highest good. Your job isn't making everyone understand your journey. Your job is taking the journey. Stop explaining yourself and start becoming yourself. Right people will understand without explanations. Wrong people won't understand regardless of explanation. Number 6, master saying no to your former self. Every single day, your former self knocks on consciousness's door asking to return. It appears disguised as comfort, convenience, or just this once. It reminds you how easy things were with lower standards, fewer goals, less responsibility to your future self. This is where most fail in transformation. They keep saying yes to the person they're trying to leave behind. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Your mind is within your control, not outside events." Understand this and you'll find strength. Here's what this practically means. Every moment you're choosing between old version and new version you're building. Every decision votes for who you want to become. If you keep voting for old you, that's who you'll remain. Your former self is persistent because it's familiar. It knows all weaknesses, excuses, ways to rationalize returning to old patterns. It whispers things like, "You deserve a break. One time won't hurt. You can start fresh tomorrow. This is too hard. Maybe you're expecting too much." These aren't random thoughts, they're old programming's voice pulling you back into comfortable mediocrity. But here's what you need. Saying no to former self isn't just about avoiding bad habits. It's about protecting new identity you're building. Every time you choose new behavior over old, you're strengthening belief you're truly capable of change. Every time you say no to old pattern, you're saying yes to becoming who you're meant to be. This requires what Stoics call discipline of desire, the ability to want what serves highest good rather than momentary comfort. It means choosing workout over couch, healthy meal over comfort food, difficult conversation over comfortable silence, future investment over today's instant gratification. The challenge, your former self is cunning. It won't ask abandoning all progress at once. Instead it negotiates. It requests small compromises. Just skip today's workout. Just eat poorly this one meal. Just procrastinate on this important task. Just avoid this uncomfortable conversation. But these small compromises add up to big transformation failures. You must become ruthless with these negotiations. When former self appears with excuses, comfort-seeking behaviors, familiar patterns no longer serving you, your answer must be firm no. Not maybe later, not just this once, not I'll start tomorrow, just no. This doesn't mean becoming rigid or impossible to live with. It means becoming selective about what enters your life. You start asking different questions. Does this choice serve who I'm becoming? Will this decision move me closer to goals or further away? Is this behavior aligned with values or old patterns? The beautiful thing, mastering this skill gets easier with practice. Each time you say no to former self and yes to new self, you build momentum. You create evidence you're genuinely changing. You strengthen neural pathways supporting new identity while weakening those supporting old identity. But you must also prepare for former self becoming more persistent before giving up. It will throw tantrums. It will make you feel deprived, restricted, like you're missing out. This is normal and temporary. Like a muscle used to weakness suddenly asked to become strong, resistance and discomfort occur. The key is remembering why you started this transformation. Remember the life vision. Remember who you want to become. Remember how living below potential feels versus how living up to it would feel. When former self knocks with comfortable lies and easy excuses, remind yourself, comfort is growth's enemy. Start treating every choice as sacred. Every decision either builds who you want to become or maintains who you want to leave behind. There are no neutral choices in transformation. You're either moving forward or backward. Either saying yes to future or yes to past. Master this art of saying no to former self, and you'll discover saying yes to new self becomes automatic. You'll naturally choose behaviors aligning with goals, values, life vision. You'll become someone trusted to do what's right even when no one watches. Even when difficult. Even when former self begs giving up. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I choose my future self over my comfort. Number 7. Create systems making old patterns impossible. Here's where most get transformation completely wrong. They rely on willpower and motivation to change. They think if they just want it badly enough, try hard enough, push through resistance enough, they'll eventually become different. But willpower is finite, motivation temporary, resistance constant. Those who actually transform understand something different. They don't fight old patterns, they make them impossible to continue. James Clear, studying ancient wisdom and modern behavioral science, revealed this truth: you don't rise to goal levels, you fall to system levels. The Stoics understood this 2,000 years ago. They knew lasting change doesn't come from heroic efforts, it comes from intelligent design. Think this way: wanting to stop eating junk food could rely on willpower resisting temptation every time seen. Or you could remove all junk food from home, avoid grocery aisles selling it, surround yourself with healthy options. Which approach succeeds long-term? The second works because it changes environment supporting new identity instead of fighting old one. It removes friction from good choices while adding friction to bad ones. It makes right decisions easy and wrong decisions difficult. This is what creating systems means. You're designing life so who you want to become naturally results from daily environment, not exception to it. You're building structures making new behaviors automatic and old behaviors nearly impossible. Start with physical environment. Look at living space, workspace, vehicle. What does this environment encourage? Wanting to read more books? Are books visible and accessible, or buried in closets while television dominates? Wanting regular exercise? Are workout clothes laid out, bag packed? Or searching for everything when wanting to work out? Environment should serve who you're becoming, not who you used to be. Every object, setup, arrangement should make good choices easier and bad choices harder. This isn't about perfection, it's about removing as much friction as possible from behaviors you want developing. But systems extend beyond physical environment. They include schedule, routines, social connections, information diet. Wanting more focus doesn't mean just trying harder to focus, you eliminate distractions. Turn off notifications. Create specific times for email and social media. Design your day so most important work happens during highest energy. Wanting more positivity doesn't mean just thinking positive, you consume positive content, spend time with positive people, create routines putting you in positive states. You make optimism the path of least resistance daily. The most powerful systems compound over time. Small environmental and routine changes create small behavioral changes. Small behavioral changes create small identity changes. Small identity changes create small result changes over time. These small changes compound into massive transformation. But key, systems must be designed for who you're becoming, not current you. Designing based on current discipline, motivation, skill keeps you at current level. You must design systems pulling you forward into desired identity. This means making systems slightly challenging but not overwhelming. Never exercised. Don't design requiring 2 hours daily. Design making 15 minutes daily easy. Once automatic, gradually increase challenge. The beautiful thing about systems, they work even when you don't feel like it. Days motivation low, willpower depleted, tired, stressed, distracted, systems keep working. They carry you forward when you can't carry yourself. Most try changing lives through force, overpowering old patterns through sheer effort. But smartest change lives through design. They create conditions making new life inevitable rather than forcing old life to change. Stop fighting old patterns and start designing systems making them irrelevant. Create environment, schedule, routine naturally producing behaviors of who you want to become. Make transformation automatic rather than heroic. Number 8. Learn loving the process more than the outcome. Here's difference between temporary and permanent transformation. Temporary changes obsess over reaching destination while permanent changers fall in love with journey. They understand something profound most miss: who you become achieving goals is more valuable than goals themselves. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, "The willing are guided by destiny, the unwilling are dragged by it." What he understood, resisting change process, constantly focusing on when it'll end, when you'll arrive, when you'll finally be who you want, you make every transformation day miserable. But embracing process, finding joy in daily improvement work, transformation stops being endured and becomes enjoyed. Most approach transformation like prison sentence. They count days until returning to old habits. They see discipline as punishment, hard work as suffering, delayed gratification as deprivation. Constantly asking, when will this get easier? When will I see results? When can I stop doing this and just be who I want? But this mindset guarantees failure because it treats new behaviors as temporary inconveniences rather than permanent lifestyle changes. The moment you reach goal or progress gets difficult, you'll abandon behaviors creating success because you never learned loving them for themselves. Those sustaining transformation long-term think differently. They understand no destination where you suddenly become perfect, never working on yourself again. No finish line where growth stops, challenging stops, things making you successful stop. Becoming better is a lifelong journey. Sooner you learn loving that journey, sooner you'll stop feeling sacrificing and start feeling investing. This shift happens when noticing how process itself changes you. Notice how discipline makes you more confident. Notice how hard work increases self-respect. Notice how delayed gratification builds self-trust. Notice how pushing through resistance strengthens you mentally and emotionally. Working out, don't just focus on weight loss or muscle gain. Pay attention how keeping promises feels. Pay attention how energy improves throughout day. Pay attention how stress decreases. Pay attention how self-respect increases every time doing what old self wouldn't. Building new habits, don't just focus on end result. Pay attention how choice control feels. Pay attention how confidence grows realizing any life area can change. Pay attention how peaceful living according to values rather than impulses feels. Process itself becomes reward when realizing every day sticking to new standards, every day choosing growth over comfort, every day acting like who you want to become. You're not just working toward goal. You're proving to yourself you're capable of being whoever you decide. This is incredibly powerful because it makes you independent from external results. You don't need scale progress to feel good about workout. You don't need others noticing changes to feel proud of effort. You don't need perfect outcomes to feel successful because you're measuring success by process commitment, not just results produced. When loving process, consistency becomes natural instead of forced. You don't motivate yourself to enjoy things. You don't force yourself maintaining habits making you feel good. You don't push yourself continuing behaviors improving your life in ways felt daily. Most successful in any field understand this principle. They love daily improvement work. They find joy in practice, not just performance. They get excited about improvement process, not just achievement moment. This is why sustaining excellence for decades while others burn out after months. Start looking for reasons loving what you're doing right now to become who you want. Find joy in discipline. Find satisfaction in struggle. Find peace in process. Making this shift transforms something you have to do into something you get to do. Number 9. Stop waiting for perfect conditions to take imperfect action. There's a lie keeping more people stuck than any other: I'll start when conditions are perfect. Waiting for right time, right resources, right knowledge, right support, right circumstances. Thinking successful people had all advantages, all answers, all perfect conditions before beginning transformation. But here's truth changing everything: perfect conditions don't create perfect people. Perfect people create perfect conditions. Epictetus, transforming from slave to history's greatest philosophers, taught, first tell yourself what you would be, then do what you must. Notice he didn't say first wait until having everything needed, then figure out what to be. He understood clarity comes through action, not before action. You discover who you can become by starting to become them, not waiting until ready. Those waiting for perfect conditions are really waiting for guarantee they won't fail, won't struggle, won't face obstacles, won't make mistakes. But transformation doesn't come with guarantees. It comes with challenges, setbacks, uncertainty, constant need figuring things out along the way. Those transforming aren't ones with perfect conditions, they're ones starting with imperfect conditions and improving along the way. Right now you don't have enough time, enough money, enough knowledge, enough support, enough confidence, enough clarity about exactly how to become who you want. Guess what? You never will. There'll always be something missing, something wished for more, something making journey easier. Waiting for all those things aligning perfectly means waiting forever. But here's what happens: starting with imperfect conditions, you create momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates better decisions. Better decisions create better results. Better results create better conditions. Better conditions create more growth opportunities. The very act of starting with what you have begins attracting what you need. Taking imperfect action also teaches faster than those waiting for perfect conditions. You discover what works through real experience, not theoretical planning. You develop skills through practice, not preparation. You build confidence through doing, not thinking about doing. Most think needing entire transformation figured out before starting. Wanting detailed plan, clear timeline, guaranteed results, perfect circumstances. But most successful transformations happen when committing to direction and figuring specific steps along the way. You don't need knowing exactly how you'll become who you want, just need knowing next step and willingness taking it. You don't need perfect conditions to start, need perfect commitment continuing regardless of conditions. Think this way: waiting until enough time for exercise means never exercising because always something needing time. But starting exercise with available time creates ways finding more exercise time. Waiting until enough money investing in growth means never investing because always expenses needing money. But starting investing what's possible creates ways investing more. Conditions you're waiting for are often created by actions you're avoiding. Want more confidence? Start taking action despite feeling unconfident. Want more knowledge? Start learning while doing. Want more support? Start supporting yourself by keeping promises. Want better circumstances? Start making better choices with current circumstances. Imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single time. Person working out inconsistently is in better shape than person with perfect workout plan never using it. Person eating healthy most times is healthier than person knowing everything about nutrition never applying it. Person taking imperfect steps toward goals is closer than person waiting for perfect clarity about goals. Your transformation doesn't require perfect conditions, it requires consistent action despite imperfect conditions. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. Perfect time to begin is now, with whatever you've got, however you can. Perfect conditions are luxury successful people create through imperfect action. Number 10. Trust your future self will thank you for starting today. Here's final truth: inspiring transformation beginning or condemning remaining exactly where you are. Every single day delaying becoming who you're meant to be is a day stolen from your future self. Every moment spent making excuses, seeking comfort, waiting for perfect conditions is a moment your future self will wish back. But every step today toward becoming better is a gift to every future version of yourself. Marcus Aurelius, reflecting on time and legacy, wrote, "Time resembles a river made of events flowing swiftly. For barely does anything appear before swept away, replaced by another, also soon swept away. He understood life isn't dress rehearsal. Time available now for transformation isn't guaranteed tomorrow. Opportunity becoming who you want exists right now, this moment, and may not exist later. Your future self counts on today's decisions. They're hoping you'll choose workout over couch, healthy meal over comfort food, difficult conversation over comfortable silence, growth investment over instant gratification. They're praying you'll start building habits, developing mindset, taking actions, creating life they want to live. But here's beautiful about this relationship with future self: they're not just hoping good choices, they're willing to reward making them. Every time choosing growth over comfort today, future self experiences compound benefits. Every time saying no to old patterns and yes to new identity, you're creating better reality for who you're becoming. Think about past self for a moment. Are there decisions you're grateful for today? Maybe they saved money helping through difficult time. Maybe they learned skill opening doors. Maybe they took health care benefiting you now. Maybe they ended unserving relationship creating space for better ones now. Now think about decisions past self made you wish they hadn't. Maybe health neglect leaving consequences now. Maybe avoided difficult conversations leaving unresolved problems. Maybe chose comfort over growth leaving you starting from place wished further along. This is exactly same relationship with future self right now. Today's choices will either be gifts or burdens to who you become tomorrow, next month, next year. Your future self will either thank you for discipline, courage, vision shown today, or wish you'd been stronger, braver, more committed to their well-being. Most powerful transformation motivation isn't what you'll gain, it's who you'll become gaining it. Your future self won't just have better results. They'll have confidence from keeping promises to themselves. They'll have self-respect from doing hard things when not feeling like it. They'll have inner strength from repeatedly choosing growth over comfort. But your future self will have something even more valuable: they'll know they can trust themselves. They'll know achieving set goals, keeping made commitments, handling faced challenges. This self-trust becomes foundation for everything else they want creating in life. Every day postponing transformation teaches you can't be trusted following through on important commitments. Reinforcing belief you'll always find excuses avoiding doing what you know should. Creating self-betrayal pattern making every future goal feel less achievable. But every day showing up for transformation, even when not feeling like it, especially when not feeling like it, proves you're someone keeping their word. Building evidence you're capable of change. Creating momentum making future growth easier and more natural. Your future self isn't abstract concept, they're real person you'll become based on choices now. They're waiting for you, giving them gift of well-lived life, worthwhile relationships, enjoyable health, celebratable achievements. But they can't create any of that without today's cooperation. Transformation you're considering isn't just about improving circumstances, it's about becoming someone trustworthy with better circumstances. It's about developing character, wisdom, strength, handling life you say wanting. Your future self counts on you becoming worthy of today's dreams. Stop stealing from future self by postponing growth. Stop betraying them by choosing comfort over character. Stop disappointing them by making excuses instead of progress. Start today. Start now. Start with whatever you have, wherever you are, however you can. Your future self waits and believes in you even when you don't believe in yourself. Drop this affirmation in comments: I am building a future my soul can be proud of. You've just discovered 10 truths separating those transforming lives from those just thinking about it. But knowing these truths isn't enough. Understanding principles changes nothing without willingness acting. Question isn't whether information makes sense, question is whether you're ready using it. Right now you're at crossroads. You can close this video, return to regular routine, continue being same person as when starting. Or you can make today the day, finally stop talking about changing and start actually changing. Make this the moment, stop being circumstance victim and start being future architect. The former self had its time. Served its purpose. Brought you this far. But can't take where you need going. The person you must become, stronger, wiser, more disciplined, more aligned with values, that person waits for permission to exist. Waits for you destroying patterns, beliefs, Habits keeping them trapped in potential instead of reality living. Remember, this transformation happens alone first. Not because hating people but because understanding can't give what you don't have. Can't love others deeply without self-respect. Can't build meaningful relationships without self-knowledge. Can't contribute valuable to world without developing own value first. The solitude, discomfort, uncertainty, resistance from others, all temporary. But who you become through this process, confidence built, self-respect developed, life created, that's permanent. That's foundation everything else builds on. Your future self counts on decision right now. Hopes you'll finally stop waiting for perfect conditions and start imperfect action. Hopes you'll stop seeking permission from others and start trusting own vision. Hopes you'll stop explaining yourself and start embodying desired change. Time for thinking about transformation is over. Time for transformation itself is now. Like this video if it spoke to something deep inside. Comment below with your commitment to change. Share with someone needing this message. Subscribe to this channel for more wisdom supporting your journey. The former you ends today. The new you begins now. Make the choice your future self will thank you for making.